welcome to Saturday Morning Cartoons, the weekly podcast that revisits, reviews, and ridicules some of the world's weirdest animated series. I'll be your host, Dave Trumbore, and today we're going to talk about snow. What is it? Where does it come from? Why is it still here? To talk about snow with me today from the DC area, the one, the only, Sean Paul Ellis. How's it going tonight, sir?
David. I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm covered in snow down here in Atlanta. We had a crippling quarter of an inch, maybe? Quarter of an inch? Yeah. How are you guys doing up there in the DC area?
We hit like a brutal inch.
Ooh. Are you huddling together for warmth with anyone tonight?
I am huddling with Jamal Newman.
Ooh,
He's returned to the
back.
show. We're cozy under one snuggie, just the two of us hanging out.
Two dudes and one snuggie.
I'm getting oh boy, I'm getting eyes from Jamal, which is his.
What
way,
happens when I'm in a snuggie?
Yeah,
so
which is his way
deal
of
with
telling
it.
me he's happy about this
So
whole transaction. So.
Yes.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Also, we have Matt Barron.
What up, guys?
Welcome back,
How's it
brother.
going?
What is this snow you speak
I was
of?
going to say, have you heard of
Oh,
this
boy.
phenomenon out there in the West Coast living?
Yes, people drive to it and
that's
then
true. You pay
ski in
for
it and return to the sunny basin.
Yeah. Pay for it out there. We actually down here in Atlanta have decided to take a mountain and make fake snow, put it on it, and then we bitch in the summertime when we have run out of water. That is the way we do it here. It's a smart place. Real smart place, that.
wait, in Atlanta they ship the snow to the ski resort?
No, they actually just go and make one. They make like a, you know how like ski resorts make the artificial snow? Well, they just decided to do that here on like
In
an entire
Atlanta.
mountain in Atlanta. And then they bitch when we get actual snow, and then they bitch when we run out of water. So it's a fun little cycle of insanity down here. Yeah, has nothing to do with the actual show we're talking about tonight. I just
Oh
figured
man,
since-
what? Shit! Really? We're not going to talk about the water table tonight?
I mean, we can talk about the water table if we really want to. I don't know what it has to do with the Chinese zodiac and Jackie Chan adventures.
Oh man.
The water tables are all polluted, just like this cartoon. Hey, we're in there.
Hey, good enough. Better than most. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this was Sean's pick last week.
This was my pick.
Okay, tell us why.
I remember watching this show.
That's enough. That's enough for me. Moving on.
Oh my god. I do. I remember watching this, and it was something where I was like, when we were kind of going through and pouring over the list of different shows that we were interested in watching, I was like, I do remember this, and we've been kind of like talking about some action shows for the last couple weeks, with like Visionaries, and Jason the Wheeled Warriors, and so I don't know. I was looking for something a little bit different, but I still wanted to maybe keep the action theme going.
Yeah, definitely has a lot of action. We moved it up in the timeline, though. We've been talking a lot of 80s, 90s. This is one of the
Yes.
few 2000s cartoons
This was
that we actually talked
this
about.
series ran on Kids WB
Yeah.
from September of 2000 until July of 2005. So, and this oddly enough does not adhere to the 65 episode rule. So 95 episodes over 5 seasons. So this
That is
You do
this
the
cool.
math.
show,
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, 95 episodes. Thank you very much.
boy.
This is gonna be a recurring theme.
Yeah,
I'm gonna try to
we-
keep it together.
We're
but
going
I
to receive
make
some
no
legal
promises.
action for this one.
Nah,
One
no
more
problem.
thing.
one more thing.
Oh boy, yeah.
Hmm.
So and this show obviously contains a fictionalized version of the action film star Jackie Chan, which
This wasn't real? This wasn't based on
this wasn't.
What?
Yeah, I know.
I was watching. I felt like I was right back in the Drunken Master.
It's basically a documentary, just an animated documentary.
Well, I mean, I think the thing that's interesting historically for this show is that a lot of the elements in this, which is that Jackie Chan is he's an amateur archaeologist, and he's questing after these different artifacts that are related to the Chinese zodiac. This is actually something that Jackie Chan has done. Like
Ooh, back to the
this-
podcast.
this is a real thing. Like Jackie Chan's not messing around. Like these are things that like Jackie Chan has done, like under his list of accomplishments.
Explain that a little bit for the folks who are very confused by what you just said.
Well, Jackie Chan was he was in it was a documentary. I'm trying to find the name of it.
Yeah, I know
escaping.
around the same time he was actually doing, I think, promotion for his movie Chinese Zodiac. That was, I think, the American title of it, Chinese Zodiac.
Okay.
Basically centered around
In
the
China,
same
they
kind of
just called
talisman.
it Zodiac.
Yeah, they just called it Zodiac. That didn't play quite as well here because
Like,
of the
like
Zodiac
there,
killer.
they just call it food as well.
I love that this show. I love that one of these episodes they actually make that joke. This Chinese family goes out for Chinese food, and the little kid's just like, "I just came from China. Can we just get like Tex-Mex or something?"
Yeah.
I love that they put fun with that. Getting ahead of myself.
So yes, so he was in a movie. He was in a documentary that's actually about. It was called Chinese Zodiac, or as it was known in Asia, it was CZ12.
Yeah, CZ12. Right.
So CZ12, and it turns out like Jackie Chan has actually rescued and purchased some of these like stolen Chinese Zodiac heads that people thought were lost for like hundreds of years. Like he actually found them, I guess, like on the black market, bought them, and has donated them to museums. So I don't know if this is like maybe the first and only instance that we have of like
Art
art
imitating
life.
in a
But
cartoon.
like it's pretty fucking perfect.
It is
So
pretty cool.
how does Jackie Chan go on the black market? He calls someone up and say, "Hey, it's Jackie Chan. You saw this posting you had on Craigslist?"
Well, yeah, the way that they explained it, like on BBC Asia, they were just like they were talking to him, and he was like, "Well, I saw these like postings," and I was like, "What
are you doing on the black market,
Yeah.
Jackie
Are
Chan?
you like on Asian Craigslist?"
You're
Like,
60. What are you doing on the black market?
Guys, he
Jackie
lives
Chan?
like a block from the Silk Road, so
oh jeez. So he ends up making a purchase and like investigating this further, finds these artifacts that were fetching for a hefty price, buys them and then donates them back. So I think out of like the 12 Zodiac heads that they have total, they've found like 7 of them. And that's all thanks to Jackie Chan.
that's awesome. So, and he obviously gets all the powers that each of these magical talismans possesses. Is that correct?
God, I hope so.
Did they
I really
report
hope
that
so.
on the BBC?
I
Is he
mean,
basically a superhero at this point?
Yeah, I think the Chinese Communist Party helped him out, and he has as much power as he likes at this point. So
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful for Jackie Chan.
Matt, do you feel like this is something where, like, if you walk anywhere in China, like Jackie Chan's like the revered, he's like the Don, like the Italian style
He
Don.
probably walks around without security, and no one like Jerry Seinfeld does in New York. He just walks around, and people are like, "Oh my God, Jackie Chan! We're not going to approach you because you're a god." but Jackie Chan, oh my God.
yeah,
I really hope
and,
that's true. Yeah.
I mean, I that probably does happen, but the thing I was referencing earlier was he's actually kind of like become a like talking head for the Chinese Communist Party recently.
Wow.
So like when
Nice.
all those protests happened in Hong Kong, like I don't know, 3 months ago at this point, he's like, "Yeah, we should not do that, and the government's right." And everybody was like, "What the fuck, Jackie?"
That's depressing. You just brought down
Jackie.
the entire spirit of this podcast for me.
Jackie's just trying
Hey.
to get a paycheck.
Just bringing Jackie. Yeah, now after all those talisman purchasing, he's hard up for cash.
That's true.
Do you know how much that sent me back?
Looks like Rush Hour 4 just got the green light.
Yeah, right? Cool.
That's why. That's why.
yeah.
Come on, Chris Tucker. Got to pay back these talisman.
Oh wow!
so
Before we get too far off the field here, these guys brought up an interesting point. So Jackie Chan, yes, does appear in every episode of the 95 episodes of this show. However, not in the way that I think you guys understood it. You thought that he was just voicing his own character. Is that correct?
Well, I thought he wasn't, and then Sean said he was, and then you
I
said
was-
he wasn't.
I was confused.
Because I thought if that's him voicing his own character, like I said to Sean earlier, it sounds like he just went to English speaking class and they got him right into the booth right after that.
Yeah, like he had-
all
he
right,
had
do
one,
your,
like,
do your
15-minute
character
monologue.
lines right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
And then you said that he wasn't. I was like, oh, well, that makes sense because it doesn't sound like him at all.
No, so he does appear in every episode because, as we'll talk about in a little bit, there's sort of this end sequence. It's a post-episode sequence. It's just a really brief, like 30-second Q&A, which basically just features the live-action Jackie Chan just kind of doing some sort of weird workout routine, and then a little kid asking him a question from a fan. Or from the Chinese Communist Party, one of the two. And he answers
Start
it in
'em
like
when
a
they're
really
young.
weird way, usually.
I
And
think
that's
in
where he
China,
appeared.
I think in China, fan and communist party are the same word.
They're exactly the same word, yeah. It's like same word for crisis and opportunity. Yeah. Chrysotune. I may have stolen that from The Simpsons.
Is this sort of like how Chinese Zodiac is the American, like, I'm sorry, Chinese Zodiac is the American version of the documentary, and then like CZ12 is the Chinese version of it. Is Jackie Chan Adventures like the American version of the name? Then like what's the Chinese version of the name?
I did not follow any of that. All I know is that in Chinese Zodiac, Jackie Chan wears a suit made out of rollerblades. That's all you need to know, as far as I'm concerned.
That's all. That's honestly that's. Wait, is it rollerblades or was it inline skates?
Wait, what's the difference?
I think one is an actual brand name, and then one is like a trademarked brand name, and one is like the actual mode of transportation.
I'm gonna go with whatever the Chinese knockoff of rollerblades is then.
Yeah,
Because
it said rollerblade. It was inline skate.
Okay.
You call it knockoff. It looked the same.
They roll the same. It's so bad. We've lost everyone.
Oh god.
But yeah, so Jackie Chan does appear. A guy named James C. I'm not sure how to pronounce his last name. It's S-I-E. Actually voices the Jackie Chan character in the show. It's kind of weird because everybody just calls him Jackie Chan on the show. They're just like, hey, aren't you Jackie Chan? But it's never like, aren't you Jackie Chan, the extremely famous martial art movie star? It's always like, aren't you Jackie Chan, the amateur archaeologist? That's a really, really weird thing to watch on the show.
This was like Chinese Indiana Jones.
It really was, and a little bit of Spider-Man, which Sean and I talked about kind of all the time.
Little bit of Spider-Man.
There's a little Spider-Man. A lot of animated parkour.
So much. I mean, like I have to wonder what is leg day like for him for the ability to be able to like jump from a standing position
onto a
like
bridge.
20 onto a bridge,
Right.
like 20 feet into the air. I'm just like that guy is he's moving some major weight.
He's spring-loaded.
That is impressive.
Yeah, it's actually kind of cool. Once we get into the episodes themselves, it's not just a ripoff of just Jackie Chan's name. They didn't just say, okay, we want to make a cartoon and we just want to slap your name on it, and then it's going to be a typical, stereotypical, bland action show. It really wasn't like that. For anyone who's a fan of Jackie Chan's movies, you know that he's a great martial artist, but his real claim to fame is how he's able to sort of improvise in environments and how he's able to use everything around him as a weapon or as a defensive thing or in just some unique way. That makes his films really entertaining to watch. It makes the scenes really kind of kinetic and dynamic because it's not just the same old fisticuffs or sparring moves or things like that. He uses his environment in a really interesting way. And in the cartoon, there are no limits. You can do pretty much anything you want, but they chose to kind of follow that aesthetic of his martial arts. And I thought that was really cool that they brought that into the show. And it wasn't just like, oh, it's a Jackie Chan murder, mystery, fun fantasy adventure kind of thing. It actually is like, I'd watch it too. But but let's be honest, like they didn't have to do it. So it actually added some like quality to the show that it matched what he had done in his live action career. But we kind of talked about what this is about. It's Jackie Chan and his quest to find these talismans of the Chinese zodiac. But I feel like we need a few more details. Anybody want to jump in here and just kind of go through our synopsis about what exactly we get from the story of the show?
Yeah,
Sure.
I'll jump in.
Oh,
on
you
that.
got it?
Go ahead, Matt. You got it.
All
right, so-
delegated.
You've done the show.
Jackie Chan, an amateur archaeologist, full-time grave robber, would prefer to quietly do his work for a local university.
I don't know that part was in there, but continue.
Well, yeah,
That he would the quiet part
Quiet.
because nothing that he did in this show was quiet.
Nothing
Yeah.
is quiet at all.
When it said he was in San Francisco and he said local university, I was like, that's got to be City College. That's the only place where they would get away with this shit. But so it would seem that fate has dealt him another hand when he finds a shield in the first episode in Bavaria. He runs afoul of the Dark Hand, a criminal organization which apparently has its hands in literally all crime, which is run by a man called Valmont and guided by a dark spirit, Shendu. Jackie and his family must cooperate with the secret law enforcement organization, Section 13. I'm interested in what Sections 1 through 12 do, to counter the threat and must face the dangers that will demand all of Jackie's daring and skill in martial arts to overcome.
Well done. Well done,
I should
sir.
also mention tonight's episode is brought to you by City College of San Francisco.
Yeah.
You can find out more information at www.ccsf.edu.
Thank you for that shout out, City College. Definitely check out
Interestingly
their,
enough, they just lost their accreditation, so you may want to take a pass on any classes there.
Well, honestly though, if they're letting Jackie Chan teach there, I have to wonder why they got accredited.
I was going to say, definitely take them up on their amateur archaeology program because it is top notch.
Yeah.
I just want a degree that's just like, what'd you major in? Oh, I majored in Jackie Chan. Oh.
I would definitely major in Jackie Chan. I may have minored in it because I know way too much about his film career, which I will pepper in throughout this
I can't
conversation
wait.
because there is some
There's
basics.
snobs on the campus who are like, oh, Jackie Chan, huh? Yeah, I'm in the Jet Li class. So
Ooh.
Fight that one out. Fight that one out.
Make sure you do it on
Hologram
some
of
type
Bruce
of like
Lee.
moving mass transit thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Like
High rates
like
of speed.
Roof of a bus, a cable
Look
car,
for a double-decker
etc.
bus with an open top. Yeah.
Yeah, there you
I
go.
feel like that's
Russell
like
Gilbert.
every midterm and final. It's just like,
It's just a fight to the death between
on top of
Okay.
a mode of transportation.
Yeah.
it's like, get
On
to,
a bi-wing plane.
get to the top of this room.
Congratulations, you
final.
passed.
You're in the basement. Get to the top of the room.
At
Go.
the top of the room.
Degrees are on the roof.
There
See
is
you
a
there.
vent. Hint, there's a vent.
Yeah, I would love that if it was something where like you show up for like your degree day and they're just like, oh, the ceremony is top of the room.
Yeah.
And you're like, damn it.
We've hidden your diploma in one of these 10,000 terracotta warriors.
Yeah.
How am I going to get my grandmother up there? That's the test.
I invited my whole family. Big mistake.
Speaking of family, now's a great time to talk about Jackie Chan and his family. So we don't just have Jackie Chan in this. We've got him kind of like, I don't know, what would you say? He's in his mid-20s? Early 30s as a
Oh,
character?
really? I was thinking like 30, like mid-30s.
Mid-30s, maybe?
I thought it was like 28.
I could say
That's
like
a very-
29 and
That's
a half.
incredibly
Yeah.
specific.
Look. I was watching this
You're
today,
drawn
and
like
I,
you're 28. Yeah.
I was
Look,
like, this
if-
this cartoon could be called the Strong Jaws.
Ooh, it really
They all
could.
had strong jaw lines. They all looked like they're in shape.
Exactly. Everybody
28.
is chiseled. And plus, if you figure like 4 years as a bachelor, 2 years master's degree, blowing through the PhD dissertation in 3 years, that puts him at what, like 24, 27? Yeah, you could be 28.
Yeah,
You could be holding down tenure at 28.
I love the fact that he's like, he is... I mean, I guess I'm thinking older because when he bumps into some of the characters that we'll talk about from Section 13,
Right.
it makes it seem like there's a history that has been like going on for a while, and I'm just like, I'm not doubting it. You know what? I'll give him 28.
Well, I don't know, because look, he's
28
got...
and a half.
So Jackie has a 12-year-old
Thank you.
niece, too, that kind of shows up in the first episode.
He has a niece?
What do you... I mean, seriously?
No, that was the bit when she shows up, and he's like, "I have a niece." Like
niece?
he had
That
no
plays
idea.
a lot better when I can actually see your face. Because it just sounded like a
Wait,
legitimate question.
Yeah.
Surprise doesn't register over my voice.
Dave, he didn't sell it for me either.
Thank you. I appreciate that. One more thing. He's also got an uncle. He's got an old Chinese uncle who's as stereotypical as they come, but like
Yeah.
purposefully. Like they don't accidentally do it just to make fun of it. Like he is the guy who he doesn't want you mocking the fortune cookie, and he's doing all the Chinese research into the the ancient medicines and spells and things like that. But he does it in such a funny kind of endearing way. I don't know. How'd you guys feel about Uncle?
I thought he was funny. Like the one more thing got old super quick for me.
Yeah.
And considering it was like his,
Yeah.
and considering it was like his shtick, it was just really, it was a stretch. But some of the other stuff he did was like pretty funny. So at the end of the 3 episodes, it was a wash. But the one more thing was just killing me.
Yeah, and I can't remember how much. I mean, maybe you guys remember from watching this as kids, because I watched it. But maybe you can remember, is there more that Uncle kind of does, or is he always just kind of like the guiding hand that kind of comes in when they need him to, but doesn't do a whole lot other than almost antagonize Jackie, because he
He's
kind
the
of makes
Bagger
fun of it.
Vance of this, right?
Yeah, he's the
Bagger
Bagger Vance.
Okay, fair enough.
He's the magical Negro of this cartoon.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Well, we're really just hitting all the walls today.
Yeah, he is like
That's what she said. All right, keep going.
I mean, he really is like the He is. I didn't think about that until now, but yeah, he is the Bagger Vance.
yeah,
Like he's the mystical, magical sage.
Right.
That's
Always
just
has
like,
the advice at the
I'm gonna
right point in time.
Yeah, I'm gonna drop this knowledge.
And then drop the mic and get out.
Yeah, and then just leave.
You're not gonna see me the
You
rest
know.
of the till the end of the episode.
You know, you find out like at the end of episode 2 that because of Jackie's involvement with Section 13, that they have felt that it's best for Jackie to move into Section 13.
Yeah, which was kind of weird.
That was a little bit of a weird.
They move out of
stretch.
like, so they live in their uncle's kind of antique shop, which is as
Yeah.
stereotypical as you believe. So yeah, then they eventually move into this like government.
Which is full of plundered goods.
Yeah, it's just
right.
crave rob booty. Yeah.
Oh, no wonder he know how to get on the black market. He was a part of it
Yeah,
in the
he was
show.
driving it.
Oh, see how it comes full circle?
See, this
Oh,
Jackie Chan
man.
Adventures, little known fact, was actually a front for his black market smuggling operation. This is where all the money was funneled into. Yeah, which explains why it's so good, because it actually had a lot of production money to be pumped into it from the black market sales.
I'm gonna come back to that production money question a little bit later.
Communist
so
China money.
We want to. I might want to feather in the cap that one.
But then, yeah.
Or I could just I'm gonna simply just say that like if you looked at any of the backgrounds that were in this, it was the outlines of buildings and windows, and then it was just like broad gray and purple brushstrokes kind of over top of them. Like
Well, you got to get these episodes out.
yeah,
Just turn around.
oh,
Yeah.
those little fingers aren't gonna color that fast, are they? Like,
I would just like to say that I like how seriously Sean took this show as a front for the black market smuggling operation, and that's why its production quality is so high.
Yeah, hide in plain sight, man.
Yeah, I played sight with broad
I guess it
brushstrokes.
makes sense.
That was good. I like the animation kind of style of it. Like Jamal said, it was kind of like the strong-jawed characters, and then like Baron mentioned, like everybody is just like muscled out the wazoo. It's a really weird kind of look, but they do make the characters stand out between each other. Jackie obviously looks more or less like Jackie Chan, even though we really should talk about the intro because they do this kind of swap between a live-action Jackie Chan,
Oh,
who's
my
probably
God.
like 45 or something at the top,
Yeah.
and then it cuts
Yeah,
over.
so
to
you
his
have
animated counterpart.
an extremely round-faced Jackie Chan,
And like
smash
sweaty
cut
and
to
wrinkly, and like they didn't
smash
give him
cut
makeup.
to
It's
an
really odd.
angular-jawed Jackie Chan.
Right.
Like, it's
Young
just the
28.
worst thing because there's no continuity.
Yeah.
It's like
They
putting a
even get his
picture of
leather
my
skin
face
right.
and Sean's face.
Yeah.
I would not watch that cartoon.
Yeah.
Neither would I.
I wouldn't. I wouldn't fund that cartoon with China money.
Ooh, like
Which
Marcus
is
Thomas.
American money. Ooh.
Ooh.
Yeah, really. 1/10 of that is.
Economics.
Yeah. You can learn that at San Francisco City College.
Wow. City College,
No.
San Francisco.
No, you
They're
cannot.
sponsored at www.ccsf.edu.
Yeah,
None
another
of the credits transfer.
2-year community college fitting your needs, located in San Francisco, California, on Ocean Avenue.
Want to go to a Christian college with none other Christian? Come on down.
We should note that for CCSF, Danny Glover is a notable alumni. So
A notable alumni.
Riggs.
Yeah,
I can't pass, Riggs.
oh boy, we're devolving quickly.
Yep.
All right.
How do you want? Where do you want to go next? I'll give you a choice between the Dark Hand and Section 13. Section 13 has quite a
Wait,
few
we gotta
less
talk
characters
about
to talk
Toru.
about.
Do we?
We have to talk about Toru.
Well, that would be the Dark Hand then. So let's go there.
Okay.
So I mean, like we talked a little bit about Jade.
Yeah, a little bit. I feel like we can talk about her more kind of in the context of the episode because I feel like her actions kind of like speak to her character a little bit more.
Okay. All right.
But as far as the other guys, I mean, they're just kind of like your generic kind of thugs, with the exception of Toru, I think. And
Yeah,
Jamal
I
want to
mean-
talk about him, so why
Yeah.
don't we get the it's
I
the
feel like
elephant in the
Jamal
room
had
there.
distinct thoughts about Toru.
I've got very distinct thoughts about Toru.
Let's hear it.
The very first time I saw him again, my first thought was, good for you, Honda from Street Fighter, for finding more work.
Yeah,
Good for you.
for finding a shirt that fits.
Finding
And,
a shirt that fits and
And
slimming down a bit.
robbing Andre the Giant's closet.
Yes, exactly. That's like that's what he's been up to.
Well, he wasn't wearing it. Let's be honest. So I mean, that's fine. Please
But I
describe
think-
Toru for the post.
Do you want me to do it?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
Well,
jump in.
he's a very large Japanese man. Toru was once an enforcer for the Dark Hand and a personal servant for Valmont, its leader. From the
No, you don't
episode
have to go through all that if you want, because there's a lot of like spoilery kind of stuff in there. We didn't
Oh,
get to the
well,
point
yeah.
where spoiler alert. Consider yourself warned. where Toru actually defects from his bosses, and he
Yes.
ends up kind of siding with Jackie and Jade's uncle.
Which
That
is, I believe, a paradox about North Korea and South Korea.
Yeah, definitely. That's exactly how it was written. I'm glad you picked up on that because not too many people do. There's not too many scholarly approaches to Jackie Chan adventures.
So you have to be big, strong with courage, and then defect to the other side.
Yeah.
And
I think Jamal's got his thesis. We like to develop. theses here.
Jamal's looking at me right now like he's trying to pick me up at a bar with like
That's
this
not this look.
You guys are already in the
Yes.
same snuggie.
you
So-
you would know this look. Trust me.
I feel like you got this locked up. I don't know what else you need to do. Just bring it home. Yeah.
So there's a bunch of like other
Yeah, the other
like
henchmen.
kind of like henchmen. I'm gonna say they all look like they were in varying different stages of jaundice.
I give him.
Yes, they did have different skin tones.
They all got like slightly like gray toned.
Yeah.
like
The one looks like a
skin.
corpse. It looks like they just talking about reanimated
He
him.
does.
Yeah, the Frankenstein-looking guy with like the
Yeah.
missing
Yep.
teeth, the yellow eyes, and the gray skin. I was like, that
It was
man
like
has been
different
dead for a
shades
month.
of the.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's Ratso. That's Ratso. He's
Yeah.
supposed to be kind of like the mafia kind of guy, but he definitely has that like Solomon Grundy kind of look
Yeah.
to him.
Exactly.
And they're all wearing zoot suits.
Yeah, everybody's got
I
suits.
was trying to place the timing for
Like,
this.
what are these?
Oh my
clothes?
god, the timing
Yeah.
for this was more confusing than watching Gotham. I mean, I was just like, they're in Asia, they're wearing zoot suits. It's 2000. People still believe that archaeology is a
Like,
field of
oh,
study
great
that they
thing.
can,
It's like
that they can
action-packed,
jump
yeah.
into.
Yeah, it is seriously like Thriller meets like Dick Tracy for those three guys. It was
Yeah.
the wardrobe and skin tone was just way off. But
But the worst part is like the
ponytail.
yeah. Go ahead.
the painting on the sky, and then matching that to the henchman, you can tell that the art skills were definitely done at the intern level.
I thought you were gonna call on City College again. I thought you were just gonna throw me under the bus.
No, I was going more like internment. But you know.
I got ooh internment.
Ooh.
If you're looking for an internship,
If you're looking for an internment.
www.ccsf.edu.
Sorry, we are closed for admission.
What was that, Jamaican?
Do not contradict
Do
me.
not do
You were
this.
not here for the Tailspin show. I do not want to revisit that. That's where I'm putting my foot down. We cannot go back to island time.
All right.
That is still one of the most cringeworthy episodes we've ever done here, I think. People love it.
So we have all of these different like no name villains.
Yeah, the
like
henchmen,
henchmen people. So you know they're just kind of tossed around. I think the one notable thing that was fun. Does anybody remember the new henchman that they introduced in episode 3?
Matt and I were talking about that offline. Yeah, go ahead.
All right.
Oh, you mean new guy?
You guys.
Oh yeah, new guy. So they begin the episode and they're just kind of like they're talking about they're following Jackie again. They're in Central America, and they are following him into like this temple, and they're just like, yeah, let the new guy go. And so then like later in the episode, new guy, what's the iconic line that new guy says?
That's
Somebody-
it. New guy quits.
Yep.
I missed that.
Calling himself out as a
Yep.
red shirt.
Just
That was
new-
the iconic line. there?
Yeah, it was that kind of meta humor
Yeah.
Wow.
in this show that just sustained this cartoon for 5
Yeah.
seasons.
It might have been, you know what, new guy quits, but either way, that was
Pretty
by
close.
far my favorite moment of the 3 episodes.
Oh my god.
I like the fact. Okay, so we've talked about the Dark Hand, which is this criminal syndicate. We talked about the kind of the henchman, the lead henchman, who's Toru. We didn't really mention Valmont all that much because we don't really get too much of a sense of him in the first 3 episodes. We know that he's the big bad. We know that he rules all these other guys. He's kind of keeps to himself. He's fairly quiet, but he's ruthless. But he's also got a talking living statue that's giving him all his pointers, just kind of like over his shoulder. That's a little disturbing.
I loved that whole moment,
Yeah.
especially when I think it was actually
Wasn't it
maybe
Finn-
it
it
was
was Finn and
maybe it was
Ratso, wasn't it? It was
Ratso.
Finn
I think
and
it was
Ratso.
Ratso.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I think one of the other like
Finn.
henchmen they asked, they're just like, why is he taking advice from a statue? And Rats just goes, because it talks.
Yeah.
I was like, oh.
Which is the reason.
No, I love that though. I love that because when you think about it, you're like, oh yeah, actually that kind of makes sense. And
For some
that
reason,
opens up
sorry.
kind of like the more magical aspects of this show, because it's not just these henchmen that are going after Chan to try to like, you know, bust his knees and steal the artifact. This statue kind of like can create these shadow warriors that I think is called Shadow Khan. So it's basically like the foot soldiers or the putties or just these
Exactly.
yeah, just nameless, faceless things to beat up, and they chase our characters throughout San Francisco. So I thought that was kind of cool. That's where they introduced the magic aspect of it. Jamal, what were you gonna say?
I was about to say, I just lost it. Oh no no, this guy Valmont, for some reason he reminded me or made me think about. I don't know if you guys remember this video game Double Dragon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know why, but he reminded me of playing that game.
That's
Him as
definitely
the-
another
him as the bad
another
guy.
cartoon we have to revisit because I remember watching that one too. And I feel like it's probably ridiculous.
Do you mean the video game or just
I meant the video
car-
game, like-
Oh, I know the
The
video
video
game, but
game.
I'm saying
Like,
the
as-
actual cartoon, Double Dragon.
Like,
You
oh,
remember
I didn't
Double
know there was a
Dragon?
cartoon.
Oh
Yeah,
boy,
there's a cartoon.
oh was there? It's a beauty. We'll have to revisit that
yeah.
one.
That one's a hot mess.
but yeah, him talking to the statue with glowing eyes and stuff, I was like, this reminds me of Double Dragon for some reason.
Yeah.
Does anybody else want to go like to like a Home Goods, buy like a shitty tchotchke, put it up on the wall, and when people over, just start talking to it?
I mean, I'm fine.
Oh,
with
but pretend like you're the only one that can hear it.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
that. I'm gonna hear it in that voice.
Yeah. I want to just like get like a bell jar and like hang it on a wall and like put like nails in it, and people come over and I'm just like, hey, have I introduced you guys to Henry? And they're just like,
That's Henry.
yeah, that's Henry. That bell jar just full of nails.
And
Like,
people are like, so we're not coming back to Sean's place.
Yeah, it's a good if you don't like people or relationships. It's a real good way to just stay to yourself. Well, I might try it out. That sounds like fun.
so it's perfect for me.
Yeah, perfect for all of us.
So it's super perfect for me.
Right up your alley.
Right up my alley.
All right. Speaking of people who don't like relationships, do you want to talk about Captain Black? We don't
Ooh,
get
what a
too,
great name.
Yeah,
But they missed the shading on this guy.
yeah, a little bit. I don't even know how to describe him. Like when they do a wide shot of him, it's really weird because he's supposed to be like this grizzled veteran military leader of this.
He's like a poor man's Nick Fury.
But that's the thing. Yeah, they build him up like that, and then they do this wide shot, and he's just like wearing a red sweater with jeans and a tattered overcoat. Just like strange,
You gotta be comfortable.
very
He's
strange
the coach
fashion.
of Ohio State.
Very strange fashion choice. I don't know. Did we really get a sense of Captain Black in the first 3 episodes, though?
No.
But we got a sense of the history between him and Jackie. Sean, I think you mentioned that earlier.
Yeah, I mean
Not too much,
they note that like they note at one point that they've worked together in the past, and that the entire time that Captain Black was working with Jackie previously, that he was actually running like a front for Section 13. Like he was working like as a secret agent working with Jackie
Right.
for Section 13 during that whole time. And so it seemed like he was sort of standing up that organization. So, he was,
Jackie got played out.
yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
but
But yeah, we should
I
say
mean-
that Section 13 is basically just like the covert law enforcement answer to this criminal syndicate that's trying to take over the world. And now Jackie is working with them. Just as a research archaeologist, right? Yeah, exactly.
yeah. I want to know, like, just like when we say working,
Yeah.
he
Like
was
for the money?
more or less kidnapped.
Yeah, exactly. Knocked out,
Yeah.
drugged.
Yeah.
Kidnapped
Taken,
by, he was, like, as Dave mentioned, he was, like, poisoned, like, he was poisoned, like,
Because there's
there's like some aerosol poison or
In the
something like
first
that.
episode, doesn't
Yeah.
Jade say no? She comes in and is like, "Hey, why are you with the bad guys?" Oh, these are my friends now.
Yeah, exactly.
And she's like, wait, your friends knocked you out and dragged you off to a remote location and won't let you leave? Yeah,
Yeah,
very
cool, huh?
aware of itself.
And then they move him, like they just as a organization they just PCS him from Uncle's house over into this
men in a truck.
into the Section 13 headquarters. It's kind of crazy.
weird.
I did not get a sense from these first 3 episodes about anything really related to Captain Black, other than he's just kind of a dick.
Yeah, I feel like we'd have to watch a little bit more of them, but since we're just kind of stuck with our first 3, do you guys want to kind of dive into the episodes here? We've already kind of danced around what the general idea is about, so now we'll talk about a little bit more of the themes and stuff of the show. I personally want to talk about just how Jackie Chan, in air quotes, this show actually is. Because there's a lot of stuff that if you're familiar with his movies, you'll be able to pick them out. And if you're not, it's still a different kind of way to show action sequences and stuff in the show. But we can also talk about kind of how Jade and Jackie get along together, and that kind of informs her character quite a bit. We can also talk about the other characters they kind of introduce throughout the season, because I think there are more characters kind of like Toro Fuerte. That is El Toro Fuerte, who we'll get to in a third episode. Yeah.
Correct.
So I think they have more like that. Yeah. Did you guys watch any like live action Jackie Chan movies ever? And
Oh my God, yeah.
But like
Yeah.
what? But now I'm gonna be snooty, and I'm gonna ask which one.
Well, I know for a fact that I watched Legend of Drunken Master because that's my favorite one.
Awesome.
At the end, when he starts drinking, he starts fighting with the bamboo. It's my favorite ending to
It's
a movie.
one
he's
of
ever
his
done.
best ever films. And he's had about 120 and change credits to his name. Yeah.
123.
Yeah,
Good
I don't know how
Lord.
many of them are like actually in production or just scheduled to be in production, but yeah, easily at least 100.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of the earlier ones he wasn't credited. Took him a while to like work as a stuntman and to kind of work his way up the ladder, kind of thing. One of my absolute favorites is when it's in America. It was called Rumble in Hong Kong because Rumble in the Bronx it did pretty well, so it was called Rumble in Hong Kong. In
Okay.
China, it was known as Police Woman. It's a
This is gonna
ridiculous
be
movie.
great.
It's a ridiculous movie, and Jackie Chan, his character is the mole-faced gang leader. That is his character in this movie. He's literally in the movie for maybe 10 or 15 minutes because it has nothing to do with him. It's completely other people that take on the main roles. He is the mole-faced gang leader. Why? Because he has a giant mole on his face. It's like the size of a $50, and it moves. It moves around on his face depending on like where they're filming him from. So
What?
it's just like a weird
Wait,
makeup.
you mean
thing
like
that it just,
Robin Hood Men in Tights?
yes, it's exactly like that. It just kind of or Austin Powers, whatever it was. It just moves on his face. It's just such a weird thing to go back. It's a 1973 film. So if you can find it, either under Rumble in Hong Kong or Policewoman, check that out. Only for like just the Jackie Chan fandom. This was not the Jackie Chan that we know of as far as like using his environment and doing crazy stuff with these action sequences. Sean, you said you watched his movies too. So what were some of your favorites that you remember watching?
I mean, I remember watching Rush Hour. You know, I don't know.
I'm gonna throw out
Super
Shanghai
Cop.
Noon and Shanghai Nights. You guys remember them?
Yeah, those are the ones with Owen Wilson, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the only one I've seen start to finish is I think it's Big Trouble in Little China. Is that one?
Was he in that?
I think so.
Was he?
No.
Or maybe I'm
He was-
I mean, are you
was-
confusing
he
Jackie
was-
Chan with Kurt Russell? I mean, it's possible.
Probably.
that you are.
Fun fact though, he was John Carpenter's first choice for the role of Wang Chi in Big Trouble in Little
Maybe
China,
that's what you were
but
thinking of.
declined.
Maybe you saw
because
like
he had so much going on.
history.
Yeah.
Well, he clearly did pretty well after that.
I think I saw the medallion too.
Medallion. Yeah, that's not a
I
good
think I saw the tuxedo.
I was going to
Didn't the
ask, did you see
give him
Tuxedo
powers?
with Jennifer
Yeah.
Love Hewitt?
Yeah, the tuxedo gave him powers or something, right?
Something
Yeah,
weird.
it
The
was like
Medallion
a-
did too, yeah.
I think I saw a tuxedo on an airplane.
I will say this, like the trope or like the reoccurring character that he always ends up playing is either like hapless kind of like
Right.
oaf
Right.
that like is super successful at doing something suddenly,
Mm-hmm.
or it's like awesome cop.
Yeah, he's actually one of his more famous franchises called Police Story, and it's basically just like, yeah, awesome cop.
Awesome
He does
cop.
it really well. I actually like his kind of goofy. He models a lot of his stuff off Charlie Chaplin and kind of like how he did his movements and how he did his physical comedy. So I actually like the ones where he is kind of the hapless kind of goofball that just winds up in these situations, but just happens to be an incredible martial artist and can
Yeah.
get his way out of it. So things like Who Am I? It's actually a really fun one to watch. It's just called Who Am I? He gets like the old trope. He gets kind of knocked out, gets amnesia, and he wakes up in this crazy situation that he kind of has to
Yeah.
fight his way out of. That's a
That's-
really
that's
fun
the
one to
one.
watch.
Isn't that the one where in the beginning, there's that girl reporter who's
Yep.
trying to do a story or something?
Yep. And they end up on like this African bush race. They're like in this
Yeah.
crazy tricked out like go-kart kind of thing.
Yeah, and
It's
and the end fight is on the roof.
Yeah, exactly. Against the big
Yes.
like
Top of
German
the
guy.
building.
Dude,
Top of the
It
building.
is and that is a recurring theme in all of Jackie Chan.
Yes. Can I say that I watched this once, like of my own will,
Yeah.
and then I was on vacation and it was on the hotel TV, and I stayed in instead of going to the beach to watch this entire thing. And I was like, oh, Jackie Chan.
It's so good. I almost want to watch that movie right now. I love it so much. So if you haven't seen it, go watch that one because that gives you his sense of humor, his martial arts ability, his ability to kind of use the things around him, and then just kind of like his goofy kind of character. And that is really what he's channeling in Jackie Chan Adventures. So
Yeah.
now that I've kind of gone off on a tangent for a while, we kind of talked about the
No.
episodes.
You know what? I think the thing that's important
Yeah.
is like he is a notable celebrity.
Yeah.
Like he's a household name, and I mean with 120 plus credits to his name. Like I mean this guy is like he's still making movies. He's like 60 something years old. He's still getting ready to put out stuff, and like I think I have to give a lot of respect to the man. Like, and I think it's duly deserved. Like, you know, he's worked hard for it, and like he's broken probably a
Everything.
majority of his body, you know, to gain that respect. And sort of like what you said, like regarding like Charlie Chaplin, like he is like in terms of like clowning and the art of clowning, like a lot of kind of like takes to the audience.
Right.
A lot of like big wide reaction shots. Like he emotes very well, and he connects with audiences like in a way that like, you know, I think in a very physical way, and Charlie Chaplin did a lot of that as well.
Yeah.
And so I mean, I'm not putting the two of them on the same level, but I mean, you know, I mean it's interesting to note, and it's fun. And so I mean, it's hard to talk about Jackie Chan and not talk about a lot of different Jackie Chan movies.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, with the cartoon, I think a lot of it, early success for this cartoon, because it did pretty well. I mean, 5 seasons, almost 100 episodes. That's
Yeah.
pretty good, especially for the 2000s. I think obviously a lot of that success just came off his name. But I do like the fact that the show...
Just Chinese money.
And just Chinese market money.
Chinese
Just
funneling
Chinese
money
Zodiac money.
into this show.
And I remember this was a lead into Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh, was it really?
So
Well done.
I would watch it
Yeah.
just to get to Ninja Turtles.
Oh,
See,
yeah.
That will certainly help. That will certainly help. But I do appreciate the fact that, yeah, maybe they didn't beef up the production quality as well as they could have, satisfy Sean's need for fully realized backgrounds. But I do like the fact that they included his kind of like his sense of humor and his sense of fighting style and ability in the show. And honestly, I can't really remember any specific ones, but they do have a lot of like rooftop fighting and a lot of the, you know, balancing on the edge of a precipitous drop kind of fighting, things like that.
Well,
Just
I
fun
think
stuff.
it was I think episode 2.
The power within.
There's so like in episode 2 there's this moment where Toru has confronted Jackie, and they're trying to get this medallion back.
Right.
And Jade has swallowed the medallion.
Right, because she is a little pig.
Right, because she can't. She was told by Jackie chew her food, and her response continually was, "It was soup."
I mean, she's got a point.
Yeah,
You don't really
I mean,
chew soup. I mean,
you don't. But I mean, like that medallion was big enough that like
it's like a
I'd be
hockey
putting my
puck.
hands to my throat to
Yeah.
make like the
Yeah.
choking sign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd be like, you know, like blocked air passage, guys.
Yeah, to
So
give you an
she
idea,
eats-
it's basically just like a rough-edged hockey puck with like a Chinese rooster character drawn on it. That's this.
I thought it was a
particular one.
rabbit.
This one was a rooster.
This was a rooster.
I mean, unless a rabbit can fly, I don't know, but this one was a rooster.
I think I was watching a later episode, like episode 8.
Oh, okay. That
There's
would make
one that comes out of a
Could make
turtle's
sense.
back that looks like a rabbit.
okay.
Does it?
We'll go
Okay.
with that.
So Jade swallows the medallion. Toru is trying to procure the medallion, and so he begins chasing after Jade. Jade begins to run away from like these whatever ninjas, these putty
Yeah, the shadow creatures, whatever they are.
shadow creature
All right,
ninjas.
let's just call them spooks. Go ahead.
Oh boy.
So
God.
running after all these creepy ninja. So God, I hate you.
He won't do it. He won't do it.
So So he's running after. So Jay's running away. She finds this like band-aided skateboard.
Yes, I
and
love
helmet
that. I
and
love that.
helmet.
Yes.
Thank God she is playing it safe.
Good thing she got that helmet.
So this was actually funny because I know that we've mentioned and Matt, I know we've talked about San Francisco in this, but like Jade jumps on the skateboard and then all of a sudden goes down this hill, and that's when I realized I was like, oh shit, they are in San Francisco.
Yeah, that was also the point where I realized if there is that much tape around the middle of that skateboard, this chick is not making it to that bottom of the hill.
No helmet or no helmet, she's not making it alive.
I continue to think the exact same thing. I was like, who puts gauze over top of a skateboard? Like who thinks that that's gonna hold, like duct tape's gonna hold wood together when you apply any pressure and force on top of it. So they begin going down this hill.
Yeah.
The Shadow Ninja jump onto a bus and start following them. Jackie Chan jumps onto, again, playing to his idea of how playful he is. He gets on a shopping cart and heads down the same exact
And
hill.
he tells the guy that he's going to bring it back because he's a nice guy.
Doesn't
He does not bring it up that hill.
not
He sure does
fucking
not.
bring that shit
He's a
back.
liar.
Continuity.
So he begins to go down the hill. At one point, he crashes into a car and then proceeds to run over the top of 3 or 4 moving vehicles.
I failed to
It's a
see a
28-year-old
problem.
man, by the way.
28-year-old man
to see a
running
problem.
over top of cars seamlessly, jumps onto a truck where all the ninja are on there.
Right.
And he's just like, oh, and then he shoots himself as they lunge to the back of the truck. He lunges to the front of the truck. I'm like, that is an
Using
awful
the
lot
laws of physics.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you remember that moment though? Because the dude who's driving the truck, who was like one of the weirdest design characters I think I remember from the show, he had like they spent way too much time like detailing this guy because he had like weird fuzzy dice hanging from the mirror. He had some sort of creepy necklace and like a shirt that was unbuttoned way too far, and it was just like, why would you spend so much time on this truck driver? But anyway, so he
was like a creepy redneck trucker.
yeah,
in
like
the
a
middle
creepy San
of
Francisco,
Francisco.
redneck trucker.
In San Francisco,
they're
yeah.
saying he
They're
had a
called
fashion-
bears.
Yeah, he was
God damn it,
definitely
I'm
a daddy
lost.
bear.
He's definitely a daddy
Yeah,
bear.
and he started going way downhill. Ooh boy.
Oh man.
But yeah, so he sees Jackie Chan fighting these shadow creatures in the rearview mirror, which may be one of the weirdest things I've said on the show. But that causes him. You remember that causes him to just slam on the brakes and basically just wreck his car. He
Yeah.
wrecks the whole fucking truck and just flips it over and launches everybody off of it. They never cut back to this guy. You have no idea if he survived. If he stumbled out into the San Francisco night and found love. I mean, I don't know what happened.
do you I mean I'm out of curiosity, like with all of the cartoons that we've watched, so this is the 39th episode, with all the cartoons that we've watched, do you ever think about like the collateral damage and like the families? Like I'd love there to be like a cartoon that examines like the loss of all these like secondary and tertiary characters. That like
this is
just
like-
so many
propose-
funerals. So
I
many
propose
funerals.
that episode 50 is a salute to fallen comrades, where we review the death of all the disposable characters in episodes 1 through 49.
We might make that 49 and a half. I think 50 spoken for. 49 and a half, I'd be happy to do that. I love doing these like little recap things. But honestly,
Yeah.
Sean, to answer your question, yes, I was a weird little kid. I'm still a weird adult. And I get like fixated.
I'm aware, Dave.
Yeah, we're going to share that snuggie.
I've
later,
normaled
sorry.
up nicely.
Yeah, that's pretty normal. Relative.
+2 to adulting for Matt.
Let's
So
do to adulthood.
sorry, you're a weird kid. You obsess about these things, Dave.
Yeah.
And you were thinking to yourself,
Well, no. Just all the background characters, all the stuff that kind of happens in the background, the kind of fuzzy frame behind the main characters, where you see people, but you don't quite know what's going on. Even in movies, like I'm always fixated on them. And sometimes if I'm bored in a movie, I'll just start watching people in the background to see what the hell they're doing. And I would love for there to be some sort of like feature film or even a TV show or something where they actually focused on. They don't focus on them, but they're doing weird shit in the background that eventually draws your attention if you're paying attention. So yes,
okay,
all that kind of stuff. I do wonder what happens to these other characters.
well,
And we never
I'm
know.
gonna I'm
You
gonna
never
I'm
know.
gonna fill you in on a little secret. If it's a background actor or actress that's supposed to be casually having a conversation, they're probably just mouthing words, just going buzz, 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 buzz.
Or if you're
buzz, buzz, buzz.
if you are a less professional extra, you actually do try to have a conversation. I've been an extra in a number of like productions that were in Pittsburgh, a couple that were out in LA. Sometimes you get to the people who are like really serious about being an extra, and they get like really uptight and anal about it. And then you get to the people who are just there to have a good time, and want to talk and see what's up.
Somebody just read like an actor prepares, and they're just like, look, I have to consider my Stanislavski method, and just shut the fuck up.
No, your face is gonna be blurred the fuck out. No one's gonna see you. You are basically a color pattern to walk in front of a camera and purge the screen. That's all you're here for.
We're in the area, or they've been filming, or they filmed House of Cards very nearby.
Was it the
for
Sesame
Netflix.
Street version?
Yeah, the Sesame Street version. And so damn it. We've had a lot of friends who have just been like, oh yeah, I've been like an extra on House of Cards, or they were in the background of B-roll. And it's very funny to see our friends every once in a while show up as extras and stuff, to the point where a good friend of mine, when I watched House of Cards and he was in it, and then I had to ask, and I was just like, I saw you on House of Cards, Chris Ulrich. And he's just like, huh? What? Huh? I'm just like, just shut up. Like, you didn't just like show up and start walking around DC one day in a suit
background.
and just show up on like,
What episode? What episode was
huh? And just settle down, Doc Brown. Like,
Doc Brown. Hey, Marty!
Oh, God.
I love that we've gotten 5-6 of the way through this podcast, and I don't think we've really talked about the show.
We definitely have.
There's just not a whole lot to talk about episode-wise. I mean, I don't know. Do you guys have anything that kind of stood out, or were there character moments?
Yeah, I mean, I want to say that there was, we talked about sort of like the Asian Indiana Jones aspect of this show, and Spider-Man as well. Thank you, Dave. And so I want to say that, like, you find out, and like, was there what moment did you guys have to suspend like disbelief to be able to be like, okay, they're not in like the regular world, they're in like the
first episode when Jackie Chan is right in the beginning when he throws the spear perfectly.
Yes, that was it for me too.
To stop the wall from coming down, and goes, quick, run. They get out, right? He's in a room, and then he just does a parkour up to the top of a vent with a shield, a gold shield, by the way, gold, so it's heavy, and he just climbs up the wall like a little squirrel and gets out. I was like, all right, so they're not in like America.
No, but see,
they're not really in
because gravity does not exist anywhere else. We've got it all locked down here.
But I am telling you right now to go back and watch Who Am I, because he does that shit. Now, granted, he's probably not carrying a 100-pound gold shield, but he does that shit. So that part for
probably
me,
does that in tuxedo.
I was still fine with that. When he
was
throws,
that right? Huh? Oh, sorry, Dave. Go ahead.
I was going to say when he throws that shield like a discus, and most
like
people
Captain America,
and it boomerangs back around to him. That I was like,
settle down. Jeez.
Or when Toru walks in and he's clearly not able to be sustained by any sort of skeletal structure or diet program known to man.
This is a guy who looks I looked at Toru and I'm like, where were you made?
Yeah, because you weren't born.
You could not have been birthed from somewhere.
Because she's dead. If that happened.
Yeah.
On what slab did they attach electrodes to your neck?
And then shock you away. And why don't you have any scars in your neck from the screws?
Yeah, he's just big for no reason. But it's great. He's a great character.
He is Asian Frankenstein.
He is.
Yeah, it really is. I would not want to
fuck with him. It's like an out-of-work sumo.
Yeah, that's basically what he is. I like that they had kind of like Chinese versus Japanese kind of thing occasionally throughout, because Jackie will drop sort of like Chinese comments, and Toru will drop these kind of Japanese ones, whether it's names or whether it's talking about food. Kind of a weird dynamic that they have. It's real brief and real subtle, but it's just, I don't know. I found that kind of strange. I didn't pick up on it.
Doesn't that play onto the actual little bit of backbiting that happens between Japanese and Chinese people?
I mean, sure. Or just Jackie Chan and sumo wrestlers. Yeah, they really don't.
Long-standing feud between those two groups. No, between Jackie Chan and sumo wrestlers.
Yeah, exactly.
Long-standing hate.
Actually, the point that I lost, I thought that the show had no credibility and realized that it was in a fictional world when they were like, "Oh, Jackie Chan's an archaeologist." That was pretty much
That's
it.
what got you.
Like,
So about 45 seconds after Jamal and I.
Yep. when I read the synopsis, oh, there it is. Yeah.
Nice
So
to know we
I
all made it in
actually-
2 minutes.
I think mine took a little bit longer.
Where was yours then?
Mine.
Really? Tell us at what minute did you go, you know what, this
What's
might
your-
not be real.
what's your time
I
stamp?
will. Aside from the fact that it's a cartoon, the moment where I had to be like, okay, I need to suspend disbelief a little bit was when the henchmen confront Jackie Chan for the first time,
right.
and they pull out those knives, and Jackie Chan just goes, "Electric swords!" and like then the swords like start like they have like lightning bolts
Yeah.
that are like around them, and I was just like, "Oh, we're not dealing with like
we're not.
we're not
So
dealing with real."
everybody was cool with the talking dragon statue, but we're
that's
not
real.
cool.
Oh, that's
with
real, that's
dragon.
real.
Have you ever been to a boardwalk?
Have you
Come on,
have
that's-
you met Henry, my
Yeah,
my bell jar full of
yeah,
nails?
you met Henry?
I would love it if that dragon's name was just Henry, not like anything mystical or magical or Chinese.
Oh man,
But it's
I want to say to the point like at the beginning of that first episode when you realize like Jackie Chan's an archaeologist, he's leading a team into the Legend of the Hidden Temple, and there is a line that he says that's in there that I think I paused because I was laughing so hard. It was the one where whoever the one bro.
yeah. I want to know
guys-
what
you
happened to that guy, the guy that almost got space smashed in by the.
dead. He's dead.
He's super dead.
Dead.
Just he's one of the tragedies that Matt and I will talk about in episode 49 and a half.
Excellent.
But Jackie has one line. I don't know if anybody remember if they caught it.
Clearly don't.
It was very like it was almost said like not under his breath, but he just like it's right before all the chaos ensues. From that bro pulling like that piece of gold,
Right.
and Jackie Chan just goes, "I'm sure the booty is booby trapped."
That was it. That was your line.
That had me in stitches because he was like,
Was it because he said it kind of like
it sounded
stereotypical
like
Asian
it,
voice?
no, it sounded like Data from the Goonies.
Booty trap.
Like I laughed so hard.
It's booty trapped.
Like it was not an intentionally funny line, nor was it a good line.
Right.
It was he's like, I'm sure the booty's booty trapped, and I just like I lost my mind.
It's much funnier now hearing you react to it.
Oh god, so dumb.
Yeah. It was a fun show, though. I mean, now I guess it's a good enough time as any to ask if you guys recommend this. Sean, we'll start with you because your pick for this week. So, do you think it held up as much as you remembered?
I mean, I'm gonna say yes with a caveat. And my caveat is that like when I started watching the first 2 episodes, I was excited about watching it. But by the time I hit the 3rd episode, and maybe this was just because like I binge watch shows, so like I watch them like all. I'll just sit down and watch
Yeah, I did the same thing.
as much as possible. But I don't know. By the 3rd episode, I kind of lost a little steam for me.
Fair enough. But would you
So-
recommend people kind of seek this one out? You can actually watch it on Hulu, or at least Hulu Plus, by the way. I think it's only online, though, which was irritating. But
Okay.
yeah.
I mean, I found it on YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a bunch on YouTube.
So I mean, I think it's worth checking it out. Just especially for the intro, kind of with the cartoon
Yeah.
and the cuts to the live action Jackie Chan.
Right.
And then I think the one thing I do want to talk about, or I want to see as we're kind of going down the recommendations, like if anybody had any moments when they ask Jackie Chan questions at the end of the show.
Oh, boy.
And they are like the response that he has to them. It seems like he's never been asked a question before in his life. Like it's almost as if like all the press junkets that he ever did for any of the 120 movies, like they
Went out
did
the
not
window.
exist. They just
The whole thing was scripted.
Yeah. By the Chinese Communist Party. It probably was.
Yeah,
if
probably
it
was.
it probably was. Oh.
Jackie, we're gonna ask this, this, and this. You reply this, this, and this.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is that if that is the case, he did such a poor job at remembering what the response. Like he almost seemed confused. Like they had interrupted him, and he seems like such a nice guy
Yeah.
that even if you interrupted him, he'd just be like, "Oh, let me take a minute and handle
Yeah.
this."
Do you
and
think,
then
like, someone
let me get
on
back to
camera-
my Wing Chun, and you're just like, "All right, settle down." Like,
Someone off camera's like, it's for the cartoon, Jackie. Oh.
Oh, my
yeah.
paycheck. Cool.
Got it,
Got it.
My
got it,
weekly
got it, got it, got
paycheck.
it.
Yeah.
Got it.
But yeah, I'd say yes. I mean, check out like at least the first two episodes since they are kind of
they're kind of linked, more or less.
they're kind of pulled together, and so it's interesting to see that. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, watch episode 3 maybe just because it poses the question: who's better, Mexicans or the Chinese? And so. That's a debate that is timeless.
Is still raging today.
Raging today. Ooh, the message boards. So yeah, I would check out this show. I'd check it out.
Okay, Jamal, how about you? You said you remember this one fondly from your youth. So how does it stand up for you?
It was about as good as it was when I was a kid. But I will say I wouldn't recommend watching it in a marathon style. I think it's best to watch it as it came on TV in a 30-minute increment and then go do something else.
Like watching Ninja Turtles right after.
Yeah, and then I don't think anyone like when I woke up and they were like, okay, Jackie Chan marathon. I was like, I'm gonna watch one of these.
Yeah, exactly.
Then I'm gonna go outside. I'm not watching this marathon.
Dude, that's
Turtles
actually
isn't on today.
That's really weird to think about. Actually, that everybody these days kind of binge watches the same show.
Yeah.
You just watch the series of the show over and over and over again. But they've gotten away from that block of cartoon programming.
Yeah, which is nuts.
Which sucks because I would sit there and watch 4 hours of cartoons if there were 8 different cartoons on.
Yeah,
but I have a real tough time, especially for our podcasts, of watching 3-4 episodes of stuff in a row. It just wears you down, or you see the same things over and over again. So it's really strange that we've kind of become or are becoming that model of consumption in our culture. Kind of strange.
Yeah.
So is that an okay recommendation? Check out 1 or 2.
It's an okay. Check it out.
Fair enough. Mr. Matt Barron, I don't know, did you watch this growing up? Do you remember this fondly, or is this your first introduction to it?
No, I do remember watching it growing up. It was not one of the staples for me, so
Right.
But I do remember it. I mean, now that you mentioned the Ninja Turtle thing, that was my go-to, so that's probably where I remember it from. But I would recommend it. I mean, it's got some funny stuff in there. It's got some eye roll moments as well. But I would definitely watch the first 2 and then just pick some after that. It'll be fine.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you because the first couple episodes really set it up so you know what it's going to be about, and they start to get into the kind of magical elements of it too. So if you're a fan of Jackie Chan, check this out. You'll see some elements throughout the cartoon. And then if you're looking for something that's a fun action-adventure series with a little bit of magic and mysticism thrown in, you can do a lot worse.
Who isn't looking for that?
Yeah, you can do a lot worse than Jackie Chan Adventure. So seek it out. We got YouTube, we got Hulu Plus. Find it out there and collect all the talismans. Collect them all. Any final thoughts on this one before we move on to our plugs and our...
one
got,
final
buddy?
thing. Dave, you and I talked about this.
I can't believe you didn't just go for the one more thing. You could have called it back.
Oh, shit.
I heard it so many times today.
One more thing.
One more thing.
As I feel like I'm Steve Jobs or Tim.
That's what I'm saying.
One more thing. The outro music for this is called Chan's the Man, and it's performed by the band Wheatus.
Oh, are you serious?
Who did Teenage Dirtbag. And now we all know why Wheatus was a one-hit wonder.
Yeah, because they can't even do a theme song for a cartoon series. This was really bad.
This fucking song is garbage.
Do you have the lyrics? Do you want to go through them?
I don't, but I'm
For
gonna.
those of
don't
us
worry
who
about
don't know Wheatus, well, who's Wheatus?
What?
Who's the Wheatus?
For those of us
Wheatus?
who Wheatus was not a staple, what's Wheatus?
Literally,
They did one song called Teenage Dirtbag a long time ago.
it's a
and
really
how does
whiny kind of folk pop punk song.
How does it? What's the chorus of it?
I'm just a teenage dirtbag baby.
Never heard this.
Good. Consider yourself lucky.
Okay, you can stop, Sean.
All right.
Yeah. Unfortunately, you had to hear the Jackie Chan Adventures outro. Bad. The only good thing about the end of the show was Jackie Chan's Q&A, which Sean mentioned earlier. That stuff was delightful.
Hey, Jackie, what do you like to eat for dinner? Broccoli and rice.
You kind of went Australian mid-word there.
I went Australian. Broccoli and rice. Oh, hello,
Broccoli
mate.
and
Now
rice.
keep going.
Eat broccoli and rice. I'm Jackie
Broccoli
Chan.
and rice. Kurt Russell.
Oh my God! You have
Broccoli and rice.
Broccoli and rice. Can that be your Australian Jackie Chan name? Is broccoli rice?
Yeah. My name's Broccoli Roast.
Good day, mate.
No, Mike.
I'm an archaeologist.
I'm an archaeologist.
That's something I would not buy either. An Australian archaeologist.
I would watch a show called Broccoli Rice, the Australian Archaeologist, just because it's impossible to pronounce that.
Good day.
Good day.
Yeah, how do you even spell
Royce.
that? It's like is that an Rioyce?
Yeah, it's Royce. Royce.
It's phonetic. It's phonetic.
It's
the
R-Y-C.
colonies.
Broccoli Roast.
Handed down from the colony. The broccoli
I
colony.
did find the lyrics, Dave.
Yeah.
To the
Yeah, we were just
this
vamping
song.
through to give you some time to do that. So see what happens when you're.
Thank you, thank you.
What do we got here? We did-
It goes, never gets a chance to, and that's it. Doesn't go anywhere.
That's it? Those are the lyrics?
Because he's searching for the talisman and racing down the dark hand. He'll win with just his hands. Yeah, you know Chan's got a plan. He never can be beat, always landing on his feet. Protects his uncle and niece from Shadow Khan and deadbeats. Yet he would rather laugh than fight. It's wrong or right. You gotta like him, Jackie Chan. Where's the talisman?
Holy
Gotta
shit.
find it now. You always do somehow.
I
That
feel
is
like
the
you're
worst.
making this up as you go.
I
No
wish.
clue
No,
feedback.
God, I wish I had.
This is real.
No, I'm looking on the internet.
This is like, that first line is almost like they're like, all right, what are we going to start this off with?
What rhymes with Chan?
Yeah, yeah.
Man,
All right, let's
nailed
skip this
it.
first line.
plan, man,
Nailed it.
ham,
Done. Give me the
scam.
Yeah.
Like, ugh.
That's really bad, dude. That's on
Is
like
a chance
that's
to-
bordering like bots master level bad.
Oh yeah, this is on par with Bots Master.
A rough ending.
Jesus.
Show.
Oh my God.
Let's
Speaking
smooth
of things
it out with
that
some plug.
speaking of things aren't there are things that are not a disaster.
How's this gonna go?
I was gonna say.
Leaning towards disaster.
No, I was gonna ask Jamal. Do you have anything that you'd like to plug?
March 22nd, performing in Washington Improv Theater's Fist tournament at Source Theater on 14th Street, somewhere in DC.
Somewhere along 14th Street.
7 p.m. or 8 p.m. Come on down.
Well, we'll sort that out.
Oh my God.
Sean, what do you have going on?
Oh jeez. I have a bunch of shows. You can find me again. I will be performing for Washington Improv Theater's Fighting Improv Smackdown Tournament or FIST.
He's already shitting on my plug.
I'm already shitting on your plug.
he's just
It's
cleaning it up.
on
That's good.
14th in between S&T. I'm gonna throw this out. I have a bunch of dates, and we're gonna post them on there. I'm performing like the 14th, the 20th, the 28th, the 4th, and the 11th of April at varying times that we'll have on the website. But if you are a listener and you are listening to this, and I'm gonna start posting on my Instagram at Sean Paul Ellis. I'm gonna start posting stuff about the podcast. If you're a listener and you comment on that and you're in the DC area, I will get you and make sure that you get free tickets to come see the show.
Awesome, man. That's great.
Pending sex.
Pending gender. No, I will.
Pending gender,
Pending gender.
whether or not you're dressed as a nun.
No, no. If you are interested, we'll post all the dates and times. If you are interested, you won't get to vote in the FIST proceedings, which you probably don't care about anyway. But if you want to come out and you want to see a show, we will make that available.
They don't get to vote.
If I give them a free ticket, they won't get to vote. Oh no! You know what? I'll get you a free ticket and you can vote. So
There you go.
that'll be the thing.
Because I
If
believe
you,
everyone should vote.
Yes. So if you if you want to come to one of these shows, just a message on the Instagram, and I will make sure that you get a free ticket to go see the show.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, we'll get that
Oh
up on
my
our show
God.
notes. Jamal, you hanging in over there?
I'm good.
Jamal's keeping it together. Matt, anything that you'd like to plug, bud?
No,
You got nothing? You're not enrolled in City College yet?
Oh, jeez, I love it.
no, no. After they lost their
I thought you-
accreditation,
You're not taking
I mean, that's
amateur
an-
archaeology and spelunking at City College?
no. I mean, that's not why
really
I'm not
thought- I really
enrolling,
thought
but
Matt-
no. Good. What were you gonna say, Sean?
I really thought you were just gonna be like one more thing.
One more thing.
Oh boy.
Hey, I got
No.
one more thing. Just from me.
Hey, Dave.
Is it
what
the
do you
size of a
think these
baby's
days?
arm?
Oh, man. Yikes. Yeah. I'm still doing TV reviews over at Collider.com and Collider.com/TV, a brand new redesigned TV site. Unfortunately, a lot of these shows are either on a break right now. Some CW shows like Flash and Arrow are weirdly taking a 2-week kind of spring break in the middle of nowhere. Unfortunately, Constantine on NBC is done, but not yet completely gone. There might be a season 2 still in the works.
Very excited.
Sean's not excited about Fox's Gotham on Mondays, but I do review that as well. Struggling through that, but hey, you never know. Maybe we'll turn it around. And then one of the most fantastic shows on TV today, The Walking Dead, AMC, Sunday nights. I review that as well. So if you're a follower of all of them, or just want to stop by and say hi, head on over to Collider.com and look for me. As far as the rest of us, we're going to go back down the line again and give our Tumblr and Instagram and all other kinds of social media info. So, Sean, since you posted the fact that you're going to be giving out some free tickets to folks, where can they find you on social media?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Sean Paul Ellis. Jamal.
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter under the name Comic Relief 24/7. That's CMICRELEAF 24/7.
Excellent. And Mr. Barron?
I am on the Twitter at Bag of Sandwiches.
Still my vote for best name on Twitter. You can find me on Twitter at Dr. Claw MD. If you're interested in learning more about Saturday morning cartoons, you can follow us on Twitter at MorningToon. Remember, that's morning with a U. You can also find us on SaturdayMorningCartoons.com. You can head on over to our Tumblr page, SaturdayMorningCartoons.tumblr.com. Send us an email, let us know how we're doing, give us some suggestions, and hit Sean up for some free stuff. You can send us an email, SaturdayMorningCartoons@gmail.com. You can also listen to us each and every week through iTunes or Stitcher. Just look for Saturday Morning Cartoon. That should be about it. Do you guys know what we got coming up next week? Is this my pick from like a couple weeks ago that I've been really excited about?
Yeah,
Ooh.
it is.
What the heck's it?
Do you seriously not know what it is?
I know what it is. I'm trying to remember. Is it Rowan of Wildfire? Is that the main guy's name? Do you remember?
I actually don't think I've ever watched this cartoon.
Oh crap! Am I thinking of the wrong thing then? This is gonna be real embarrassing.
Really? This is very embarrassing.
Dude, I thought it was Ronin Warriors.
It's on. Oh my gosh! I keep
What
a
am I
schedule,
watching?
guys.
I know it. I don't fucking get it.
For
Well,
Apparently it's not
considering
Ronin
nobody
Warriors.
else knows the schedule, it could be
I
Ronin
have
Warriors.
it. No, next
we
week
got?
we are talking Skeleton
Oh,
Warriors.
that's Skeleton Warriors next week. Okay, I had the Warriors right.
Jesus.
Skeleton Warriors.
Skeleton Warriors.
We're talking Skeleton Warriors next week.
Yeah, Sean is so disappointed in me right now.
It's all right.
So what's this?
Fine.
Now you get a
Doing
taste of what
okay,
I've been
doing
doing
okay.
for months. This is just a taste, my friend.
Oh my God. All right.
Skeleton Warriors next week.
Yeah, I know nothing about this show, so I am curious.
Interesting. Well, we're going to do a little outro tonight. I'm going to do a Q&A for our special guest, Mr. Jamal.
Hot seat.
hot seat. On the hot
Jackie
seat.
Chan Q&A right here.
Q&A.
I'm ready for the Q&A. Go ahead.
How do you stay in such good shape?
Well, I try to eat good dinner and go outside and take walks with the cat.
Nice. Anyone else have a question for Mr. Jamal?
Hey, Mr. Jackie Chan, why do you do your own stunts?
I do own stunts cause cost money, hire friends. Friends no get green card. Hello.
Is there any closing moments?
Any more questions for the Jackie?
Any final thoughts you'd like to share on the Chinese Communist Party before we close?
Thoughts on Chinese Communist Party? Chinese Communist Party is best party ever. If you ever coming to Chinese Communist Party, bring your own beer. Okay, bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye. That'll do it for us. Thanks for listening.